For sure.
Dungeon Doom Hands. Let's talk lore.
I just realized
A podcast.
What?
I need to ask about any quicker ways to travel in Trigard.
Dungeon Doom Hands. Let's talk lore.
Oh,
A
yeah.
podcast.
I think you guys are going to develop a relationship with a call box.
With
Or
a
at least-
mechanic.
At least stumble upon it. Welcome back to another episode of Let's Talk Lore. I'm Spencer, and this, I keep pointing the wrong way. This is Chris.
My friend Ray.
Yeah,
This is Spencer.
yeah.
Chris.
We talk about Dungeons and Dragons and our world building strategies. Today, we are going to talk about building your own campaign and where you start and sort of, I guess, suggestions. I mean, neither one of us are experts at it, but we have been playing a long campaign, and I've been taking notes and transferring them to somewhat of a campaign that will eventually long-term goal, be published. Not necessarily to make millions, but billions. No, just kidding. But it's something to
make a lot to share to kids.
Something that can be played. Yes, absolutely, for sure. Once I get that, once I get the table ready. Oh yeah, for sure, it's gonna be awesome.
Nice.
Anyway, so I've over the last year, just a brief summary. I've started to put the encounters, the tables, everything in the story on a website that is playable. But I think the topic I wanted to talk about was sort of how do you start, and like where do you go? What are the I guess the blocks that you use to build? And
well, I think every DM is going to give you the initial same advice of start small.
Oh yeah.
You don't need to know everything about everything in your world. And recently watched a video talking about DM saying you don't need to plan levels 1 through 20 and everything perfectly, because well, one, if you play D&D long enough, you know that the players fuck everything up.
Oh yeah.
But it also, it's a lot easier to not overwhelm you, because you don't know what's going to happen after one session, after 3 sessions. Who knows? Schedules might change and the game falls apart. So you don't want to spend all that time planning something. Well, unless you really enjoy planning sessions.
Right.
If you really enjoy just world building and doing all that fun nitty gritty stuff, I think it's fun. Ignore what I'm about to say. But if you have a life and you have a family and you don't have all the time in the world, and you just want to play some D&D, roll some dice, start small.
Right.
If everyone's like what we've talked about before, set up, plan out one session, which most likely starts with 1 and can expand to 2 or 3 easily. Just plan that, and you don't need tons to plan that. You need your setting, you need an idea.
Well, so like let's go to the idea. You always say, start with an idea, and as vague as that is, it's true. So we'll just use Agoth Doomhand and the Skulls of Power, the homebrew campaign we're making, as an example. I just wanted to play, and there was no DM. I didn't know how to DM, and I was like, okay, well, I know the basics, and I know Chris knows the rules more so than I do, for a little backdrop. So if you're going to have a campaign, you should probably have another person who knows the rules and who is going to help you. I think having 2 people is probably the best, but you could do it by yourself. I mean,
having one person that you know is going to be there every week and will help you do whatever prep or anything else you need. That makes it so much easier.
Yeah, but also can play. But
I can be your inside man in the
right.
To throw a wrench to the players' plans.
Right, and we'll go back to that. So, as to what you were saying, going from yes, everyone has a dream. You're going to start with a 0 level character and you're going to go to a 20 level character. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
That character is going to die. And quite honestly, I think that everyone in the campaign, I think the campaign that we're playing right now, they're a little high. They're a little high at the level. I've always said when you die, you come back, your character will be an average level of the rest of
Hmm.
them, or maybe one level below, or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if I kill everyone, then we start, then we
Start at one again.
right. So detached from the trying to
Hmm.
get to 20. Um, but we'll go back to that idea. So when you start a campaign, when I started the I Got Doom Hand, I just created a quick little story, which I eventually flushed out into this big, long. It's not even a long story. It's like a page long, like almost a myth. So like
Hmm.
the skull essentially is the apple from the Helen of Troy story, and that's where it happened. And then I split the skulls up, and there are six things that the group need to find over this whole thing. The whole story arc is finding the skulls and stopping Doomhand. That's the whole general gist. So every single not in every encounter, but every area is going to have that arc in it. It's some like subtly,
Yeah.
and we haven't
That
actually
theme will
had
present itself.
right. And people, NPCs, and one of the ways that you can sort of link back to that story arc is just by using your NPCs. That they're really awesome. Or you can also use like structures and stuff like that. Like if you want to get detailed into it, like there's a totem pole with a message that blah blah blah. But NPCs for this basic beginner level starting your campaign, NPCs can be the thing that bring you back to your story arc. But
Let's get back to starting. Yeah, your
yeah,
idea.
so you have your idea, and then I think what you do, you have your story arc idea, but you also need to remember you're here to have fun and to DM the game. So you sometimes get tripped up a little bit in trying to do too much, but
Mm-hmm.
the way I put together, the trivium levels, the very first levels I did, again, as you said, start small. Have a confined area where people can't just fly off and do infinite
Hmm.
number of things that can put them in one area. Um, Draw the map and set up a couple traps. And I feel like um, as I went along, it sort of got bigger and bigger and bigger, and now we're on full on Dungeons and Dragons. I think we're almost pretty much at
We're
how
we're
we're how we're how we're supposed to play it almost
we're
because
2.5 years into a single campaign.
yeah.
It's
Um,
evolved.
but like so what do I do as a DM to prepare? We did a session last time in preparing this nice that we did this last time because it kind of prepares this conversation is to how you get the tables and the map and the characters into the game. And what I do is I try to have a interaction. I try to have I mean, when I say interaction, I mean like a conversation with an NPC that I created, that I know is going to bring everyone back to the story arc, or a little bit of lore about something. And then, like for example, we're in Trigard, so there is a church. Then that church is devoted towards. It looks like uh, the worship of one of the gods that Doomhand is trying to slay. Now, I can
Hmm.
tell you right now from a metagaming standpoint, that's going to be a place where you want to go to have a little bit of story arc coming back to the main theme of the
Yeah.
of the campaign. But you have that and you put it to the side. Then you bring your tables and your characters and the
Hmm.
randomness and you let it go. And I think one of the things that you need to do before you even get too much into planning is to trust the players are going to bring you eventually back to the story arc, even if you get completely lost and ran because you guys destroy almost everything I put together.
You're welcome.
You got yeah, it's fun. It's really really fun. You do tend to bring it back. I like to have like a little paragraph of how that character or that happening relates to the story arc, and then I will add in some monsters and some traps. Like if we're doing a if there's a theme of the dungeon or the like essentially a one-off, um, I prepare all of our sessions as somewhat of one-offs. The last few times we've played, we've had these eight. It's almost like an eight session one-off. I would say. So I guess it's not really a
Well,
one-off, but
it was a story arc.
yeah, it's really it was really cool. But like if you give the group a goal, okay, you need to do this, and you don't really know how many sessions it's going to take to get there because they're going to do some weird stuff. But you do know that that goal they already know that they have to do like for the time heist. You have to get back here in time, or you're going to get trapped. Um,
Yeah.
Let them and then expand. Let them do it. So
Well, that took eight sessions
yeah,
because we had a time limit.
yes,
Because
yeah,
we're like, we have to be quick, diligent. Every we make has to be perfect.
yeah. You actually did it with well under the time period. But that, again, the time was random too. It could have been
Yeah,
a lot. We could have rolled a
a
lot
lot
lower.
shorter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just creating your campaign. Like I have printed out like templates. I have all the not all of them, but I have a lot of the. Actually, I have quite a bit of them downloaded on D&D Beyond. But I also have other third party books that I'm just looking at the structure, the actual physical structure
Mhm.
of how they do it, and it's a little bit. They're all a little bit wordy and a little overwhelming, and that's the word, overwhelming.
Well,
And
there's so much information
right,
that, but you don't always need all that
you
information
you
all the
don't
time.
you don't, and I think that it's okay. And a lot of these books don't allow. I mean, they do allow it, and I think they try to push it, but it's hard to tell that they sort of want you to be in charge of making that. I feel like you should make the lore. Like I get it. There's a story arc and there's happenings and so on and so forth. There's a village, there's a town. Here's a list of all the people and what they think. NPCs certain
Mhm.
NPCs will only say yes to this or they want that or whatever unless you convince
Well,
them. Um, but I think allowing for a little bit of randomness is very important when you're putting together a campaign.
and any campaign that you run, whether it be your own homebrew or a published adventure somewhere, like you can always modify things. And I don't think that's the challenge of because it's what you're seeing in the book is one of the choices that you have
Right.
available. Like when I ran Dragon of Icespire Peaks, we have our one persistent world that we're playing in, and each we're going through all the published adventures, and each one is being superimposed over that persistent world that our characters are in. So
Right.
we play Lost Mines of Phandelver, and then Dragons of Icespire Peak after. So the proceedings of the first one created sort of the modified backdrop and lore of the second one. But I think when you're starting your campaign, you're going small. You have, even if it's you're going to be running an adventure, you're starting at page one and you're going to run as much as you want to. I think it's important to not get bogged down, not
Yes.
try and put too much.
Right.
Don't try and lore dump the whole entire narrative of the story,
If
and
you're
just
gonna
throw a couple breadcrumbs out there
right.
and
If
see what, especially when you're starting off, it's your first time playing with those players too, and those characters, and understanding how everyone's going to play and how they're going to interact and what people get excited about. Um, so have those breadcrumbs and see what people see which ones they bite.
So I've noticed that we'll use Trivium 3 because right now
Yeah.
on the Agoth Doomhand campaign that is playable, by the way. Um, on our website, we've done all of the forest stuff, so that's just I got to upload it. But I'm a little bit stuck on the Trivium level 3, or Trivium room 3. So we'll use that as an
Mhm.
example. There were
Yeah.
several mistakes that I made, and I'll highlight them when I put this thing together because, okay, um, I like to have a little bit of a theme to my dungeons. So when I say dungeons, I mean like that that day when we play, I like to have a little bit of a
Mm.
theme. Like so, I had a lot
Yeah.
of time stuff going on in the desert we were in. I had a lot of like morphing different. You
Mm.
couldn't like you didn't know if the NPCs you could trust. So were they minotaurs disguised as orcs? Were they orcs disguised as sent so on and so forth? So that was like a
Yeah.
theme. So I like to have a little bit of a theme. Doesn't mean it's a story arc, it's just like a theme. So like in
Mm.
Trivium 3, um, my it wasn't a theme that per se, but the walls were living dead. So they were essentially living walls. Now I didn't have the stat block for them. I didn't know where to essentially search, but I did
Mhm.
know that Magic the Gathering has a living defender wall, and so I looked that up, and it turns out that they had translated that to Dungeons and Dragons. So with the wall comes a feeling of danger. So when you
Confinement. Yeah.
yes, so that was and as you went further and further in, I separated the group. That was a key aspect of it that I liked. And I had the walls get thinner and thinner. And closer and closer, so you eventually had to interact with them. And then I let the wolves out chasing you guys, and you guys were at such a low level that you had to just push through. Um, One of the things that I made a mistake on was not reading the stat block for the walls. I feel like that could have been a little bit more fun, a little bit more enjoyable. Helping everyone, you're squeezing through. You're trying to pull your friend through. He got grappled by the walls, now taking hit points and so on and so forth. So you don't necessarily have to get overwhelmed with like the traps. A simple wall that you get stuck on, it will add a element to the game that will make everyone feel tight. Will make them feel like their next move has to be very calculated. So you don't have to worry about necessarily, uh, the player engagement's going to be there with that type of thing. That's why I love the themes, because now the players are all thinking about, getting away from these walls, and turns out that you guys were actually, once you got through those areas, you were right in front of Doomhand, didn't even really know it. I mean, you knew it, but you didn't know it.
We had an idea, but we
Yes.
were
Now,
completely lost.
another mistake that I made in the Trivium Room 3, um, was that, and I will go back, and I posted them on Instagram. You can go all the way back. I think they were in September, but it's one of the first couple posts that I did. I have to redo the post because I didn't realize how awesome, the the motion
You
of
can,
I have to reinvent
yeah.
them, but I'll wait till after the desert. Um, But one of the things that I made a mistake was I introduced the main story arc too quickly, too fast. I shouldn't have necessarily had Doomhand there. It might not have been a smart idea to have, Loxodon was there, the White Sage. I didn't know where we were going with the skulls when that happened. So one mistake that I made was not knowing exactly where the story was gonna, like, where I wanted that story to go. Now, I'm not sure what the terminology of like sandbox or railroading and stuff like that, but I don't like to say, okay, Chris, you have to do this because that's stupid. Um, I can make you do that. Occasionally you have to do it. But I guess what I'm trying to say is I sort of put that right into every character. I was like, now you have to talk to this Loxodon, and you have to, take her head. And I could have developed a little bit more of a character, a little bit more, you know. So you
Well,
shouldn't rush things, and it's okay to be like, I don't know. You don't have to. Every death doesn't have to have a meaning, you know.
let me stop you right there. It did not feel rushed whatsoever. And
Thanks.
one thing as a player, um, the DM is always, you are always going to beat up on stuff that you feel you messed up or you
Right.
didn't do what you wanted to do, or you, like what you said, you didn't fully read the stat block. I can't tell you how many times I've not fully read, oh, there's another two paragraphs over here and they can do other things.
Yeah.
It happens. Us as players, we don't know, like you don't know what you miss if you're playing a video game and you miss a whole little side quest and you didn't even know it existed. You don't know that you missed it.
Right.
So you didn't really miss anything. For that, it's like you feel like you messed something up or you didn't run it the way you had anticipated it going.
It is interesting
We
though.
we
Like,
had a blast. I can tell you
oh no, it was awesome.
it was amazing. It was fun, hilarious. As soon as we got together, Aaronus ran off on his own and got trapped.
Yeah.
I'm throwing you under the bus, Aaronus.
Yeah.
Aaron, and if you want to come on here,
Yeah. Colin
we already
Aaron.
sent you the invite. Come on in.
Yeah. Yeah. I've already set up the OBS guest
To,
the guest page just in case he comes on. But I think so. First off, thank you.
and and
But I think you're
one
right.
other one other note is like when we first started, we had no idea how long this campaign was going to go.
No, I
It could
was
have just been the trivium and we go find each of the sages locked up or whatever, but it kept going and going and going, and here we are now.
yeah.
But
Um,
it really I think it we had no idea really why we are in there and we're just trying to get out.
s-
And that gave us a hook into the whole
right.
story when we
So
needed it.
when you create your campaigns, don't get bogged down by like the typing and the story and all this stuff.
Mhm.
That comes later. Um, it, One of the things that I like about the way we set this up, and it just happened naturally because of just, I guess, my history of video games and what I like, is that I like to have each character have a different relationship with, for example, the skulls. So each player has a specific skull, which eventually they're going to have to attune to in some way or put inside them or interact with that they need to go find. So that player engagement's there. So
Mhm.
I know that Aaron and Jake probably wanted to go find their skull first too.
Mhm.
So the debate is where it's a nice little debate to have the players figure out who's going to go first. But if you're starting your campaign and you have your theme set up, you have your idea, you have your theme, you have your story, your story arc. Let's just say you have random traps and random tables. Having too many encounters on a table is overwhelming. Just start out small and have 4. Not even. You can have 3, 2, and you don't even have to have. You can have a trap or a happening encounter, or you could have nothing, which is sometimes cool because it's just the characters looking around, and you know you can ask the characters to describe the room. You don't actually have to set anything up, but giving the player character a little bit of a goal, their own goal, based on
Mhm.
and you incorporate that into their backstory. So get your theme, get your story arc, get your map drawn out for your one-off dungeon, and then maybe if you're starting out new and fresh with guys, or players rather, um, maybe look at their backstories. I think, and then you can, as a DM, you sort of add a little bit into it, or you can take away a little, not take away, but like you can add a little into it, and that sort of creates that player engagement. I feel like that was a key to keeping the story and the campaign moving forward. I got very overwhelmed at certain times trying to figure out what to do, where to go, how to plan, how to. I didn't know how to role play. You know, I eventually figured it out. I like doing it, thank God. Um, but I think having that engagement there already sort of set up into the campaign is important. So if you're starting your campaign, start it out with maybe just a suggestion. You guys are looking for this, or you're you had a dream and this happened, or you're something.
Well, in any if you're doing like a one shot, a one off, and like you're only going to be doing there for a short period of time, so you don't have a couple sessions to really build up the story and get the motivation. Like when you came down and played with some of my friends down here, it's like you guys are hired to do this job, and
Yeah.
your job starts now. Um, but one other no, and I think more importantly than trying to make sure you have all the tables and all the maps and everything else, you have your friends around the table or on the screen. You have your idea that you want to play. And I think the most important thing is having fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Because
If you're not
like what
having
you
fun,
said,
then it's not.
yeah, it's like you said like you knew the ideas or like how you wanted to someone do it because of your background in video games and you want to bring or that was the
Elements of
easiest
Zelda.
way for you. Yeah. And and just having fun with that. You're another player at the table. So
Yeah,
enjoy
you
it
are. Yeah,
and
for sure. Dungeon masters don't you like if you're overwhelmed, just as what Chris was saying. If you're overwhelmed, and it's bogging you down, and you're not actually enjoying it, maybe one of two things. Maybe let someone else DM for a little bit, or
Mhm.
another idea is just scrap the thing and do something. Just let the randomness
Well,
take over because you guys were going through the desert. There was that time and like shit was getting crazy. The worm ate Aaron, and then players. You plan this stuff out, and last minute people cancel. But you have players like Chris and Jake who typically show up every time. And then you have people come late and stuff. But my thing is, and this doesn't have to do with the topic at hand, but always play.
mhm.
If a player showed up to play and it's just the two of you, play. Just don't let people not showing up stop it, because then you'll never start again. I don't think. I don't know because I've never done that. I've never I've never not played every 2 weeks, but um,
And I'll
you
give
know,
you another player, the DM um, uh, gold star is you've every session where someone hasn't been able to make it, it never felt like we were missing out. Like we like had to stop the story because of something. It always felt fluid, just like, all right, if someone doesn't make it, we're gonna keep going and we'll figure something out with their
yeah,
character.
and it got to be the
And
point where like I would have them disappear. Aaron actually like players want to typically they want to be there and they have something come up in their life and they have to cancel. It's like anything else.
mm,
So I told Aaron, I was like, here's while we're doing this and you're off in California, um, you just disappear. Your character disappears, and I gave him a map. I gave him a maze. I said, just do this maze and figure out how long it's going to take you, and I'll tell you if you find anything or whatever. Um, I
one
said,
second, hold on.
I give them certain things to do, but I guess like getting bogged down with writing. I mean, you don't need to write a 300-page campaign. That's just sort of overwhelming just thinking about it. Like I've tried to fill out the template and it's hard to fill it out even though I have all the language, I have all the literature. You can now with AI, you can sort of take your thoughts and put it on a shitty little paragraph and just say, "Hey, flush this out a little bit." But it's even with that, it's hard to do. So I don't know. I guess like it depends on how what your level of world building is going to be. I don't know. Chris is away right now, so I'm just going to ramble on. But I think one of the things that you need to decide is what level of magic, what level of world building you are ready to go with. Because again, Chris's point, start small. And now we're at a point where we do whatever we want, essentially. I know that I don't railroad it, but I give you guys options. Like in the Underdark, you could have done anything you wanted to do, and you can go back. I've given you a map. One of the cool things about the map program, Wonder Draft, that I downloaded, and I just started making a map. I got overwhelmed with like trying to figure out the world, and so I said, "Screw it. Let me scratch this and just make a map." Okay, here's the forest. What's around the forest? All right, well, there's a desert. And then you look at the world map, our map of the globe, and you look at the forest and you say, well, what's around the forest? There are mountains. There's this. Okay, well, what kind of things are in the mountains, and so on and so forth. That's a good way of building without being overwhelmed. You don't need to know that there's a Rime Island in the middle of the ocean where all you can do there is rhyme or you take damage. You don't need to get there, but that's one of the examples of having a theme into a place that I like, because you guys are like, what the hell? And everyone has to start talking in rhymes. That itself is fun. You don't really need to do much more. But I think, creating a one-off or starting a campaign, themes, story arc, you got to have some friends that show up. Not everyone has to show up at the same time. But, it's very easy to get overwhelmed. When you type into Google D&D traps, there's a billion of them. I get a book. I looked up the Game Master's Guide to those 5 books. They're awesome. Those are also overwhelming. There's a lot of stuff in there. Just pick 2, and those are your traps. I've literally done, it feels like hours and hours and hours of gameplay. 3 hours, 2.5 to 3 hours a session, maybe 2. We're getting down to quicker. It's 2.
Yeah.
And I prefer that. I think it's about 2.5 hours now. And you guys get to one trap and you get to one puzzle, and then there's an interaction with either an NPC or there's a fight. And like that itself is in itself a session. That's a good, we're in the city right now, and all I'm doing is rolling from tables. And the tables are dumbed down. They're not like there's a monster and you got to go find it and kill it and then save the baby, bring the baby back to the princess. It's not like a detailed thing. It's like literally you rolled last time and it was so random. One lady gave birth in the street. Like that was what it said. That like a NPC woman just starts giving birth. Like what do you do? Do you use that as a distraction to go steal stuff? Do you help her? Do you learn her from who she is? There's your world building. And honestly, I find that world building live, where you guys make me, what's your name? You did this at the Brockville, the town of Brock. What's your name? Where are you from? Essentially, what are your goals? I had nothing written down for that. And like, it was so cool to just, I'm playing the game, that was fun. So I think if you're not having fun, and we said it from the very beginning when we started doing Dungeon Doom Hand, we have side job. We have side jobs. We have jobs, we have families,
Mm.
we like to work out, you like to do yoga, I want to get big, I want to eat, I want to go out and drink with my wife, I want to do, I want to go to sport, I want to watch the Yankees hopefully win, but they're not looking very good. And uh if you can't fit in having fun into the campaign, it's maybe you need to let someone else DM a little bit,
Hmm.
you know,
Or find
or
out
not, or
why. Yeah,
yeah,
just find out why you're not having fun.
yeah, or like
Maybe,
run a
yeah.
session, run an already scripted session. Do like I took I've taken from so many different things. My God, last minute I didn't have time to prep. Turns out the thing was amazing. We had a great session. So you don't need to have everything lined, drawn out, and everything. So it's not.
You
It's
don't need to write your own campaign book in order to run a
no.
session.
You can go back and write it, which is what we're doing.
Oh, you can
Um.
take all your notes and then
Oh yeah.
organize them and figure out what it is from there after the fact, but
Yeah.
you don't have to have everything
And
perfectly scripted, organized the whole way through.
I am interested to know from our viewers, and I will be making this into a 1 minute clip and sending it around. What do you like and not like about the way that campaigns are printed today? Because to me, they're awfully wordy. The images are cool. There's a lot of like cool encounters and tables and stuff, but the way that you build your campaign and then what you read in a book, there's a lot that goes on in between. And I just feel like there's a there's a way to make it a little bit more engaging for everyone. One of the ideas that we had was maybe having it more visual than wordy, um, appealing in a more of a comic book like fashion. Um, because you type in a campaign template and it's already overwhelming. It's like, what's your intro? What's your story? What's your primer? Just type the story and then where are you on the map? Make your map and go. Build it from there. It's going to be sick. Guarantee anyone does that, those simple things. Get the theme, draw a map, and get some small encounters. I'm sure that I'd love to play it. In fact, if anyone makes it and sends it to me, I'll run it. I'll run it for a one shot, definitely. Um, yeah, so I don't know. We're still in the thick of it. I think that once we start to put the campaign together, we'll come back to this topic because I don't know what the answer is. But I think starting small is a great suggestion, and not losing yourself in language and literature, and go write a book if you want to write a book. As the gentleman from the DM Lair on YouTube said, I forgot which video he was. I'll try to tag it in the comments. He said, if you want to write a campaign, um, maybe you're better off writing a book. But if you want to have fun and make it engaging, you don't need to finish every sentence. You don't need to finish every paragraph. Every chapter doesn't need to come to a conclusion. That's where the element of the campaign sort of lies. So with that, I know Chris is a little bit busy, tied up, probably doing real life things right now. With that, um, we will take a pause and come back to the next session in a few moments.